Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of DABCC TV. As always, we have a great episode for you today. We have VKernel back on the show, and I'm really excited about this because they're going to show us their new capacity management suite. So there's a lot of neat stuff in here, and I'm really excited about this. So with no further ado, let's just dive into it. Today, our guest is Alex Rosemblat from VKernel. So Alex, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today.
Thanks, Doug. Yeah. All right. I guess I'll take it from here. I am the product marketing manager here at VKernel, and I'm going to be giving a quick demo of our capacity management suite. And just a little bit about that, the capacity management suite is an integration of 3 existing products plus 1 new product, which is our inventory application and a dashboard. And we're very proud of this. The capacity management suite ended up winning VMworld 2010's Best of Show Gold Award in the virtualization management category. And that was just back in September, about a month and a half ago. So a lot of work went into that and something that we're very proud of. Just a little bit more about the product itself. It's a single agentless virtual appliance. It's very easy to use. It's easy to install. It only takes 20 minutes and you will immediately have value from the first running of the program itself. And something really neat that I'll be showing within the demo is that having all of our products integrated into the same place allows for contextual navigation through an environment. So you can cordon off a piece of your virtual infrastructure that you want to do a deep dive into, pivot on that, and run all of our applications and completely manage all of your capacity needs just on that one subsection of virtual environment, which is something that a lot of our customers have found makes their job a lot easier. So just a few words about how this works and how our product is special, if you will, is it's an analytics. We have a patent pending capacity analytics engine that we have a lot of people working on and just constantly tweaking and fine tuning algorithms to make sure that we can have the most precise measurements and the most actionable and concrete recommendations. And we just point out problems using all sorts of analytics, which I'll be showing you in the demo. Specifically, we collect 20 VMware performance metrics using the vCenter API. We ping vCenter every 30 minutes, but we actually dive into the 5-minute granularity level to try to get as precise a measure as possible. And all this information ends up getting churned by that capacity analytics engine. And the insights from this math is what power our 4 applications, which are Capacity Analyzer, which finds both current and future bottlenecks and gives you actionable recommendations on how to fix them. Our optimization pack, which will help you best use your hardware and just have everything running as efficiently as possible. Our inventory, which allows you to search, filter, and sort through all VMs in a virtual environment, as well as report out on your environment. And our chargeback application, which will map costs back to the departments that are generating them. So without further ado, I'm going to jump right into our capacity management suite, which we abbreviate as CMS.
Perfect. And Alex, I always like to ask a quick question before people start their demos. And you had mentioned this, that it's really easy to install, but everybody comes, it's already installed. It's up on the screen. What can you just walk us through? What does it take to get to the point where you're at right now?
Yeah. So all you have to do is you go to our website, which is www.vkernel.com. Find the download option for the capacity management suite. It should be very easy to get to. There's a bunch of buttons up on our homepage. You basically download this file, and then you install it just as you would any other virtual appliance. You just deploy the virtual appliance, depending on how many VMs you have, and it might take a bit of time, a couple minutes, maybe a couple of hours to collect all of the data to start making those initial recommendations. And as soon as this thing is up and running and has all the data it needs, it'll just work. There are no agents that you need to install to get any more information in there. There's no implementation team. This is something that a single system administrator can do in just a couple of minutes, download the product and deploy it, let it collect some data, and then start using it. And we have a 30-day trial. So definitely, encourage people to just give it a shot at least to see if it can be helpful for them.
You bet. And that 30-day trial, that's full blown, right? I mean, they get everything out of it.
That's everything. It's for 8 sockets, but it is everything. And something that I'll also mention again at the end is this dashboard, which I'll talk a little bit about. this is going to stay on forever after you get that trial. And we're going to keep on collecting data. So, maybe you didn't need one of our products at the time, but something comes up and you want some of that analytic power to help you out. You just, get some licenses for the product, and we already have all of your historical information on file, and you will immediately be able to use all of our products with all that information.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Well, I will shut up. Please continue.
Sure, thanks. So as I was mentioning, this is our dashboard, and this gives you a 50,000-foot overview over your environment and points out a lot of pressing things that you need to that you should be aware of or need to take care of. Specifically, we're going to be highlighting 4 common use cases from the data center. We are going to be finding performance bottlenecks and also getting recommendations on how to solve them. That's 1. 2, we're going to find future bottlenecks, and we're going to nip them at the bud before they ever become problems. That's something that our customers find very helpful, and you should never be hearing an upset call or email from an end user, because you shouldn't be having performance problems that can be avoided in the first place. 3rd, with mathematical precision, we're going to be able to see how much capacity is available in the virtual infrastructure so that you know exactly where you can put that next VM. And lastly, we're going to fight waste in the virtual infrastructure so that all the resources and all the hardware that the organization has right now can be best used and everything gets used efficiently. So on to that first use case, capacity bottlenecks. These are a pain. They'll slow down your VMs, and users can feel that sluggishness, and it really affects operations. But this is a great example of that capacity analytics engine at work. We are taking these 20 metrics, all the information at the 5-minute granularity level from every VM, and also looking at the different levels of infrastructure, be it the host, cluster, resource pool, seeing all the interactions. And this ends up being laid out in this easy to read heat map that you're looking at right now, which prioritizes all of the capacity problems in my environment and makes it very easy for me to get my hands around what's going on and what do I need to go fix. Importantly, we don't just do this for CPU, memory, and storage, but we also focus on throughput and command latency issues as well. So it looks like there's a couple of issues here. I'll just click on one of them. All that you have to do to get more information is to double click, and this will get us into a drill down report that not only shows you the root cause of the problem, but importantly, gives you an actionable, concrete recommendation of what to do to fix it. You don't have to fix, you don't have to do any trial and error. You don't have to be guessing. All you have to do is you have to get in here and just follow the recommendation, and you're able to fix that bottleneck right away. Now, seeing the entire environment might be a little bit overwhelming. So we have this custom group ability, which allows a system administrator to slice and dice their environment the way that they themselves view it, whether it's by a business grouping such as sales and marketing, or more of a functional grouping like QA, dev, prod. You can put the VMs that you use at a certain time or that you manage at a certain time in this group. And once you select it, you can pivot and use all of our other applications for that one subsection of environment. This is something that a lot of our customers have found very helpful. Also, as our customers' virtual environments have grown, they've seen that there's a need to exclude certain resources at the VM, host, cluster, whatever have you level that are going to muddy up some of the calculations. For instance, you might not care that a QA cluster is going to be at 100% utilization for its CPU because people are just playing around with it, but you don't want to have those calculations mixed up with the prod properties. So you can go and actually exclude from calculation the areas that just aren't that important or that you don't want to see at that time. Also, something that's very helpful for our customers that have globalized data operations is that you can set the analysis period based on the infrastructure level so that analysis will only occur when those VMs are being used. So, for instance, you can do it based on time zone or based off of shifts, whatever have you. You can make sure that you keep everything very clean and very precise. So moving on to our second use case, it's great to be able to very quickly get to the root of an issue that's happening at this current time, but it's even better to avoid the issues altogether. So the same calculations from the capacity analytics engine that find current problems will also forecast issues before they actually happen. Now, the important thing to note here is that the capacity analytics engine uses your environment in its current state. These are problems that are going to occur whether, notwithstanding any changes, just from the environment running off of its current usage and looking at the patterns, problems are going to arise because the virtual environment is very dynamic. So we can tell you when you can expect to have these problems, what the constraining resource is going to be, so that you're able to go in there and make changes to the memory storage, change your hardware configurations, add hardware, whatever is necessary, so that these problems that would show up on that current bottlenecks area don't ever actually come to pass. We also have the ability to set alerts. You can be alerted if a certain trend occurs. For instance, let's say that memory utilization increases by 50% in a week. Or, this is very special here, using the same analytics that power that future bottlenecks area, you can have a predictive alert so that if a certain problem, let's say, for instance, CPU ready issues, is forecast to happen in 2 weeks, you can have that warning there 2 weeks before it actually happens so that you can fix it before it would ever come to pass. This is something that our customers have really raved about because they're able to manage their environment instead of the other way around. This leads me to the third use case, seeing how much availability is in an environment. Whoops, wrong screen there. So a lot of our customers use DRS to place VMs automatically, but they don't have a good feel of exactly how much capacity they have available. So the capacity availability engine will look at CPU, memory, storage, and importantly, disk throughput. And we'll also see if HA is enabled and calculate exactly how many more VMs can fit into each piece of hardware. This will give you a precise reading so you know exactly how many more slots you have available. And because not all VMs are created equal, we give the ability to make custom VM templates that reflect the kinds of VMs that an organization typically deploys, and then you can easily recalculate and see exactly how many more slots you could fit that kind of VM into in existing infrastructure. So it's not only important to look at the capacity based off your resources, but you also should take a look at your data stores. And we can read what's going on in the connection to the data stores, and importantly, see how much of a data store has been committed versus how much has been utilized, which is very helpful for thin provisioning. And the same sorts of alerts can be set up to warn you if, for instance, you've overcommitted resources too far in with thin provisioning. So this leads me to my last use case, which is how to fight waste in the data center and keep that data center ROI as high as it possibly can be while having very high performance as well. So we generally see waste produced from three different activities. One is the overcreation of virtual machines because everybody thinks that they're free and they keep on asking for more virtual machines, even in marginal cases. Second is the overallocation of resources. Everybody wants 16 gigs of memory and 4 CPUs for even the smallest of print servers because they want to make sure that everything's running robustly. And these requests go through, even though a lot of these VMs only need a fraction of what they've been allocated, and those are just resources that are being eaten up. And lastly, people take snapshots, they make templates, then they stop using them or they forget about them, and these end up just clogging up tons and tons of resources when they really should be cleaned out because no one's using them anymore. So we have a chargeback application which will map costs back to the departments that generated them. Now, importantly, chargeback points out two different costs: on the cost of the actual usage of the resources and also the allocated cost. And this is important because the actual is what was actually used by each department, and the allocated is what you're paying for because that's how many resources you gave out to run the virtual infrastructure. And what I guess the big takeaway is that the difference between the allocated and the actual usage, that's waste. That's capacity that you paid for that you never actually used. So that report can be very helpful for identifying exactly how much each department really needs to make sure that you're paying for as much as they're actually using. Now, our right sizer application analyzes the historic usage of each VM along all of the different resources that we monitor from those VM metrics, And it will not only look at the average performance, but also peak performance for each VM. And it will make recommendations of what the right size should be for each resource allocation based off of that peak measurement, which is very important because that you can have confidence in the recommendation that even when an application is being used at its maximum utilization, it'll have more than enough juice left to do everything that it needs to do. And because going back into vCenter and making all these changes can be tedious, we have the ability to automate these right sizings. So you select the area of the virtual infrastructure that you want to focus on. For instance, it could be a QA or dev cluster. And then you pick the different resources that you want to right size. You click one button and it goes right through the vCenter API and will automatically right size all of the VMs that are in that area. So because some of these might be regularly occurring right sizing, say in a dev or a QA area that you want to keep clean, you also have the ability to schedule this so that it just recurs, you set it, you forget it, and you keep your machines clean and keep on cleaning that waste up. You can see also here that we have the ability to email out these reports. This is something that is emblematic of all the kernel applications. From every screen, you have the ability to schedule out emailed reports in either an XML or PDF format to give visibility to the people that need it that might not have access into the software, or to keep a record for yourself of the things that you need to track. So this is something that our customers employ a lot and that they find very helpful. And the last thing I'm going to show here is our waste finder. So we take a look at the usage for abandoned VM images, powered off VMs, unused template images, importantly snapshots, and the ever ominous zombie VM, which is a powered on VM that people have just stopped using and is still on hogging resources and taking up capacity that could be used for new VMs that really need it. So we take a look at when these things were last used. As you can see, there's actually a couple of abandoned images, for instance, that we haven't touched in years. And you can reclaim the capacity that's being used here in storage or for other resources. And it's basically like buying new hardware. You get it back and you can use it again.
No, Alex,
yeah.
will
Yes,
will you guys do that for us, or is that a manual task that we need to go do?
The deletion?
Yes.
What we will do is that we can automate zombie VMs. We don't have any. This is a demo environment. It's very hard to set up one.
Sure.
But we do have the ability to automate the reclamation of these zombie VMs. These other things you do have to go in there and take a look at. But one important thing to bring up is, if you're not entirely sure about a VM that you want to delete, our inventory application has an index of all VMs in an environment. And it makes it very easy to find them. You can search just based on anything that you need. And when you find a VM, you can easily go and see all of the details related to that VM in one spot. Nice. Including in this example, who the administrator that created that VM is. So I can go and ask this person, hey, is it okay if I blow away this VM? It doesn't look like anybody's used it in years, and we could really use that capacity back. So that is our capacity management suite. I'll just go right back to the dashboard. Want to reiterate, these are 4 products here. Capacity Analyzer is 1, Optimization Pack is 2, Inventory is 3, and Chargeback is 4. And they're all integrated together. You can pick the area of the infrastructure or a custom group, and you can navigate all of these products based off of that one subsection of an environment. And the important thing here is that when you go and you trial the software, you can trial all of our products at the same time, but if for whatever reason, it's not the right time for a product, this dashboard, which you can pivot on different areas and it'll recalculate, will stay open and accessible forever. And we're going to keep on collecting data. So if at some point in the future you do want to license an application, say you need Capacity Analyzer because you're experiencing some bottlenecks, or you want to right size some of your VMs with Optimization Pack, we have all that information on file. All you do is you get the licenses and you're out of the gates running immediately. This is very useful. Like I said, a lot of our customers are really loving the new CMS. Just some reference, if there's any questions, you can always email me at arosemblat@vkernel.com. URL to go download the Capacity Management Suite. And just a little bit of information, like I said, it's 4 applications. The pricing is $299 per application per physical socket. So capacity analyzers $299, optimization packets $299, so on and so forth. And again, that dashboard will stay open forever, and you have a 30-day trial to see if this is something that could be of help to you and could help you ensure a high data center ROI while also at the same time ensuring high VM performance.
That's great, Alex. I always ask you, where do we need to go to learn more? And you do that for me. I love it. And you even have a slide for it. So that's awesome. So that's great. Great job, Alex. Great job. I guess we'll just go ahead, and we like to keep these things short and sweet, guys. We have a bunch of podcasts with vKernel too. So we just posted one a couple weeks ago about their about 20 key metrics, where Alex actually goes through and talks about some of these metrics, what they mean, and things like that. So definitely refer to that. And then we have specific podcasts, diving deep into capacity analyzer and optimization pack and in each one of their products. So if you're interested if you want to learn more, you can definitely refer back to those podcasts also. So Alex, is if there's anything else you'd like to say, please have at it. Otherwise, let's just go ahead and call this an episode. Sound good?
Yeah, sounds good. I mean, I guess the one thing is, we're happy to field any questions about capacity management in general, about any of the metrics that we analyze. We put a lot of time and effort into figuring out what is it that we should be looking at, how should we look at it to really get the most precise measurements to make sure that we can make great recommendations for a system administrator. So, we're happy to serve, as a reference with some of this stuff, that can be confusing at times. So, we're happy to just get any questions or any inquiries.
Now, if a customer, let's say they're evaluating the software, or they've bought already, right? And they're looking through the solution and your product, and they say, well, I just don't understand what this means. Is that something you guys help with then?
Absolutely. Our hope is that shouldn't ever even be an issue. We try to do a lot of work to make our software intuitive. It shouldn't have a user guide. In fact, when we won the VMworld Best of Show Award, one of the judges' comments was, "You don't need a PhD to use this product." System administrators have so many things going on a day-to-day basis. The last thing that they need is to try to decipher what they should do in software. So we're happy to take any calls. We have a lot of videos up on our YouTube page that walk through using the software as well. We do have obviously documentation accessible in there. But if it's something that kind of goes to that next level of granularity, we're always happy to take calls. We're always happy to get feedback. And if there's something that's unclear, we want to fix it immediately.
You bet. One of the things you showed us was recommendations, and I love recommendations, but I never believed them. How accurate are your recommendations? Do you hear, at the same time, do you hear feedback that says, well, they just don't work, or yes, these work all the time, or, there's just no such thing as all the time in our industry, right? But how does that work? I mean, does that question make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I haven't heard any issues with our recommendations from our engineering team. The one thing that I will mention is, we do a lot of work with the different metrics, and trying to figure out how to make these recommendations. And the one area that's problematic is memory. We just don't have a good metric to really get down to what memory is being used and what amount of memory is important for each VM to keep on hand for any needs that arise. There's a lot of metrics that give you a part of the picture, but and we do the best that we can, excuse me, piecing together those different parts of the picture, but we're still missing a level of granularity that we need. Memory is is somewhat complicated and gets used in many different ways. And we could do an entire podcast or even a series about it. In fact, that's something we're thinking about for a future white paper. I think that we probably err on the side of caution with memory. We could probably get more precise in terms of memory, but the most important thing about the recommendations is that we use the peak measurements. We make sure that we look at the application when it's been run its hardest, and we will make all of our recommendations above that limit or above that level. So I think that that's probably also why we haven't heard anything about it. Usually an application is just running on its own. It's already got more than enough resource allocations to do what it needs to do. And then when it hits that spike with more utilization, it still is underneath the amount that we've allocated. So I think that that's probably the key driver as to why our recommendations generally are pretty well followed, and people are very confident with what we give them.
Now, can we just set your solution to automatically, take action based on those recommendations?
Yeah, you can. I'll go back to that screen real quick. So I want to preface this with, this should definitely take a lot of caution and thought.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we have that ability. Again, I'm in the wrong part of the virtual infrastructure. Let me just pivot on an area here. Just by clicking on that button there, you select the resources that you want. Let's say I want these. And then all you have to do is you have to go and you schedule. And you set the schedule. It can be regularly recurring. And it'll just keep on happening based off of when you said, take this subsection of my virtual infrastructure with these resources and right size on this at this time period. Another important thing about the scheduling is that if you have a maintenance period or if there's a time when there's much lower usage, especially if there are changes that require the reboot of a VM, you can schedule it to happen during a certain maintenance window. But yeah, to answer your question, it's totally possible to find an area that you want to automatically right size, choose what you want right sized, and just set it to happen on a recurring basis.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, this is neat stuff. I love it. I actually use the vKernel stuff in my environment, although I tend to be bringing down more VMware servers now and bringing up Hyper-V. But you guys
Really?
also work with, I have a lot of knowledge with the VMware stuff, and there's more and more products coming out on the Hyper-V side. So I have only sort of a limited amount. I don't have 100 servers in my lab, right? I have 8. So, which is a lot for a guy like me, right? 8 servers to play around with. But, so you bring things up and down, you know what I mean?
Sure.
This week or this month it's Hyper-V. Next month it'll be back to VMware, and then a little bit of Zen server. But you guys also support Hyper-V too, don't you?
Yeah, our capacity analyzer and our chargeback products support Hyper-V.
Cool.
And we're going to be looking in that direction. And we know that Microsoft is doing a lot of work, and we're speaking with them and keeping track of everything with them. So that's definitely a direction we're looking into. And maybe at some point, Doug, I'd be interested in picking your brain as to what you found and some of the use cases that you're running up against, and maybe it's something that we could put some support into in the software in the future.
You bet. Well, the big area is desktop virtualization. Citrix
Right.
does a lot of work with Microsoft, and a lot of Zen desktop deployments are being deployed on Hyper-V versus, let's say, Zen server or VMware, right?
Right.
So that's a big area there, and desktop virt definitely hits all those metrics hard, right? Because it's not just a static workload; it's very dynamic, and it's a chore, right?
Hey, hopefully our software can make that chore a little bit less intensive. That's definitely our hope.
That's absolutely why you guys do what you do. So on that note, we're right about our 30-minute mark, and that's what I sort of aim for, is 30-minute videos. So not too long, not too short, but hopefully good. So if you guys like this, definitely let me know. If you don't like it, if you want something more, please let me know too. My email address is dbrown@dabcc.com, and I love your feedback. If there's any companies you'd like us to talk about, have on the show, please let us know that too. We love to bring new people on. But we definitely love the vKernel guys. I've been working with you guys for a long time, and I love your products because they're just so easy to, 1, get up and running, 2, to use, and then it's not just easy, they're very powerful. So good stuff, guys. Kudos to you. So, Alex, thank you again, and let's just go ahead and call this an episode. Sound good?
Sounds great. Thanks.
Hey, thank you.